Development Program 2006 Human Development Report. This report discusses the global water crisis and the relationship between access to safe water and achieving broader human development and security goals. The briefing will be followed by a hearing on Africa's water crisis and the U.S. response. The subject of today's hearing is tasteless, odorless, and colorless. It is a naturally occurring compound which we in the West often take for granted. Civilization flourished around it, yet it is the source of conflict and disease and cause of many thousands of deaths each day. We're talking about water. More people die due to the lack of water globally than due to armed conflicts. Therefore, this is a global crisis. The U.S. is fortunate to have one of the best supplies of drinking water in the world, and per capita, Americans consume most of the world's water. Some have predicted that water will become the next oil. It is more precious than even that now in our history. In contrast, more than half of the developing world's population lacks access to sanitation, and 1.1 billion people lack access to improved drinking water. The water crisis leads directly to deepening poverty, and it undermines development. More than half of all the people in the developing world suffer from one or more waterborne diseases, leading to more deaths than malaria and HIV and AIDS. The rural poor suffer more than because they have less access to water than those living in urban areas. The lack of clean water claims the lives of 4,900 children every day, 440 children in Uganda each week, and 250,000 people, children alone, in Ethiopia each year. Africa is one of the most water-impoverished regions, where the access of safe drinking water increased by 7% between 1990 and 2004, yet since then, the total number of people without access to improved drinking water sources actually increased by 60 million. So the rate of improvement is not commensurate with the growth in population. Therefore, we continually fall behind. Africa's water supply is dwindling because of desertification, population growth, uneven distribution of rainfall, diminishing natural humidity due to climate change, depletion of groundwater, and pollution of surface and groundwater sources. Together, these factors are contributing to environmental-related security problems and the reduced capacity of African governments to reduce abject poverty and poverty in general. The relationship between water and conflict is rapidly growing as countries compete for critical water supplies. There have been warnings that the next generation of wars will indeed be over water. Cooperation has been moving forward in the case of the Nile River Basin dispute between Egypt, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. There is no doubt that more and more regions will be threatened by lack of water, particularly as populations continue to grow, as current freshwater sources are degraded, and as environmental and climatic changes continue. Part of our hearing today is therefore to review U.S. water programs, especially through the Water for the Poor Act and other programs. I want to thank Congressman Blumenauer for his leadership in confronting the issue and introducing the Water for the Poor Act of 2005. It was signed into law by President Bush on November 30th, 2005, and amends the Foreign Assistance Act to make increasing access to safe water and sanitation a major purpose of the United States foreign policy efforts. Mr. Blumenauer will be here hopefully to give his testimony. I have many concerns about the implication of this act. A huge portion of the resources goes to disaster relief and in war-torn regions of Iraq and Afghanistan. While the focus in Iraq is on large infrastructure projects, in Africa it is concentrated on digging wells and technology for water treatment. We did not pass the Water for the War Act. It was supposed to be the Water for the Poor Act, and therefore we need to put it on the right track. It's the wrong road. On top of that, the President's request for fiscal year 2008 suggests a cut in water programs for sub-Saharan Africa. We will not meet the Millennium Development Goals of cutting in half the number of people without access to safe drinking water and sanitation at the rate we're going. Africa's water crisis demands immediate action and drastically increased resources from the U.S. and all donor nations. This global crisis poses a threat to our own national security, to global development, and to all humanity.